The moment changed everything without warning, the way life's biggest storms often do. I was standing in the frozen foods aisle of a grocery store, hands numb from holding a basket heavier than my spirit, when a woman stepped into my line of sight and said she knew me. Not asked, not wondered. She stated it with certainty, like a truth that had been waiting years to surface. In that instant, the hum of freezers faded, the world narrowed, and a strange pressure settled in my chest, as if the past had finally found me in the most ordinary place imaginable. Before the story pulls you deeper, pause for a second. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet ways lives can change when we least expect it, please like this video, share it with someone who might need hope today, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that are still searching. I had gone to the store on a Tuesday evening, the kind of evening that feels unfinished and heavy. Work had been exhausting in that slow, soul-draining way where nothing goes wrong but nothing goes right either. My apartment was quiet, too quiet, and I needed noise, movement, proof that the world was still spinning. So I wandered aisles without a list, letting routine guide me, trying not to think about how lonely routines can feel when they're all you have. When the woman approached me, I noticed the details before the meaning caught up. She looked familiar in a way that made my head ache, like a song you almost remember but can't place. Her eyes held something steady and sad at the same time, a kind of patience that suggested she had rehearsed this moment in her mind more than once. I searched my memory desperately, flipping through old faces, old places, old mistakes, but nothing clicked fast enough to calm the sudden anxiety rising in me. For years, I had built my life around not being recognized. After a string of failures, personal, professional, emotional, I had learned how to become invisible. I moved cities. I changed jobs. I let friendships fade without confrontation. It was easier that way. Safer. If no one truly knew you, no one could remind you of who you used to be or who you failed to become. Standing there, under harsh fluorescent lights, that fragile invisibility cracked. The woman didn't press me, didn't accuse or demand. She simply stood there, her presence heavy with unspoken history. And something about that restraint made the moment even more unsettling. People who want something usually take it. People who wait usually carry something deeper, grief, hope, or unfinished business. As we stood there, memories I didn't know I still carried began to stir. I thought about the version of myself from years ago, when life felt wide open and terrifying in equal measure. Back then, I believed effort alone could fix anything. I believed love was enough to save people. I believed leaving was easier than staying when things got hard. Those beliefs didn't survive intact. They wore down slowly, through disappointment and regret, until all that remained was caution. The rest of my shopping blurred together. I remember paying without really seeing the total, walking out with bags that felt heavier than groceries should. The woman didn't follow me, didn't force closure or explanation. And somehow, that made her presence linger even more. All the way home, my mind replayed the moment on a loop, filling the silence of my car with questions I hadn't allowed myself to ask in years. That night, sleep refused to come. I lay staring at the ceiling, realizing how carefully I had avoided reflection. I told myself I was moving forward, but in truth, I had just been moving away. Away from responsibility. Away from vulnerability. Away from the parts of my story that didn't end neatly. That encounter had peeled back a layer I thought was sealed forever, and underneath it was a longing I didn't know how to name. The days that followed felt charged, like the air before a storm. I found myself watching strangers more closely, wondering if recognition would strike again. It made me realize how disconnected I had become from the world around me, how rarely I truly saw other people or allowed myself to be seen. That woman, whoever she was to me, had disrupted the careful numbness I had perfected. Slowly, memories sharpened. I began to recall a time when I mattered deeply to someone, when my presence had weight in another person's life. It scared me to remember that version of myself, because it also meant remembering the choices that led me away from it. There had been a promise once, an unspoken one, that I would show up, that I wouldn't disappear when things became complicated. And yet, that was exactly what I had done. With each passing day, the idea that she recognized me stopped feeling like an accident and started feeling like an invitation. Not necessarily to reconnect with her, but to reconnect with myself. To face the truth that running had not healed me, it had only delayed the pain, stretching it out over years of quiet dissatisfaction. I began making small changes, almost without realizing it. I started calling my parents more often, listening instead of rushing the conversations. I reached out to an old friend I had drifted away from, not to explain myself but simply to say I missed them. At work, I stopped hiding behind minimal effort and allowed myself to care again, even when it felt risky. Each step was uncomfortable, but it carried a strange relief, like stretching muscles that had been stiff for too long. One evening, back at the same grocery store, I felt a sense of calm I hadn't known in years. The aisles looked the same, but I didn't. I realized that recognition isn't always about being known by others, sometimes it's about finally recognizing yourself. That woman had seen me not as I was in that moment, but as someone I used to be, or could still be. And that possibility had quietly changed the direction of my life. I never saw her again. There was no dramatic reunion, no cinematic explanation tying every loose end together. But maybe that was the point. Some people enter your life not to stay, but to remind you of something essential. She reminded me that my story didn't end when I decided to disappear. It was just paused, waiting for courage to press play again. Over time, I learned to forgive myself for the years I spent hiding. I learned that regret doesn't have to be a prison, it can be a teacher. And most importantly, I learned that even in the most ordinary places, grace can find you. Between cereal boxes and frozen dinners, under buzzing lights and indifferent crowds, a single moment of recognition can redirect an entire life. If this story has been quietly unfolding something inside you, if it's reminded you of someone you used to be or someone you still hope to become, please take a moment now to engage with this video. Like it, share it, and subscribe. It truly helps keep stories like this alive and reaching others who need them. And just before this story ends, I have one special request. Scroll down and comment with a single word that describes what you felt: hope, regret, warmth, healing, or even confusion. Your words matter more than you realize. I still go to that grocery store sometimes. I still walk the same aisles. But now I do it with a sense of presence, aware that every ordinary moment holds the potential for meaning. Life doesn't always change with grand speeches or dramatic turning points. Sometimes, it changes because someone looks at you and sees who you really are, before you've remembered it yourself.